YouTube, Awesome Writer here. Today's video is going to be a review for the first episode of Tojima Wants to Become a Kamen Rider. I believe it's Tojima. Man, it'd be embarrassing if I got that wrong from the get-go, but you know, that's classic me. So if you don't know what this is another Tokusatsu-inspired anime, except this one is officially licensed by Kamen Rider because they can use the name. Not just the name, but they're using Kamen Rider Ichigo within it. This was brought to my attention by a commenter in one of my recent videos. His name was Urzard. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It could be Urzord. I've heard it both ways. But thank you to bringing my attention to that, because I don't really keep my finger on the pulse of a ton of anime. You know, I only follow a select few. Like, I know the new Digimon just came out. I still need to check that out. I go through little ebbs and flows, but there has been Tokusatsu anime that has caught my eye in the past. Like, I still need to watch Go-Go Loser Ranger. Maybe before the end of the year. Right now I'm spending most of my free time for watching stuff on spooky season stuff, but I do need to binge that and do a video. But recently I covered Red Ranger Becomes an Adventurer. That was pretty, I don't want to say heavily, but it was pretty decently covered by people that were doing Tokusatsu news and stuff, so I was aware of it. But I was not aware of this at all. Like, he said, hey, are you gonna watch this? And I'm like, I have no idea what the hell this is. I mean, I assumed it was Kamen Rider related. Like, first word I saw was Tojima. I'm like, what is this? So I'm happy that my attention was brought to it. So the first part of this video, just very shortly at the beginning, in case you want to go in fresh, will just be a general recommendation. And if you can't tell just by me doing a video for it, I recommend you check it out. If you are a Toku fan, if you have found enjoyment in things like Red Ranger Becomes an Adventure in Another World, Go-Go Loser Ranger, I assume, I haven't seen it, but I imagine if you were interested in that, watched it, you'd probably like this, or at least think about checking it out. Or Akiba Ranger. If you liked any of those, I think you'll like this. The basic premise is it's about a 40-year-old man who is a huge Kamen Rider fan and has always dreamed of becoming one. And that's all I'll tell you. It's not like this is something you're going to want to avoid spoilers for because Tobey Maguire shows up again or something. It's just something that I thought was fun to go in mostly fresh. Like, I knew the premise, but I had in my mind like Red Ranger Becomes an Adventure, Akiba Ranger, and I'm like, what's that going to be like? Is it going to be like one of these? Not like one of these? And it was kind of refreshing to sort of watch it unfold and see exactly what type of show it seems to be. Now, I don't know where it's going to go. I didn't intend for that to rhyme. I'm a poet and I didn't even know I rhymed those words. But I do know now that it comes from a manga as per usual. You know, I don't know about a ton of anime, but there's got to be anime that don't come from manga, right? Like, sometimes they just make these things from scratch. But anyway, so it comes from a manga, so it went for a while. I didn't want to look too much into it. Like with Red Ranger Becomes an Adventurer, I knew some spoilers from that, but I didn't want to do a ton of research just because, like, even the ending of this episode had a nice little surprise, and I kind of want to go in fresh. So, general review recommendation without spoilers: if you're thinking about checking this out, go watch it, and then you can come back and watch this review if you want. Or not, I don't care what happens. So, let's talk about this episode. So again, core premise is young kid, fan of Kamen Rider, very much centered on Ichigo. And I'm curious what the target audience for this is. Obviously, Tokusatsu fans like us, older fans, obviously, you know, in the West, but more obviously over there in Japan. But I'm curious, is this like for kids at all too? Because I feel that kids would find modern Rider tropes more relatable. And in fact, watching this and seeing some of the bits and story unfold, I would kind of love to see a series like this, but told from the perspective of like Heisei Reiwa era modern Rider, because there's like a scene where he's reminiscing about playing Rider on the playground and they play rock, paper, scissors to see who gets to play the Rider. Nowadays, you could all play the Rider. There's 14 of them in each series. And there's a lot of focus on like, oh, he's the lone Rider who fights justice alone. Like, not nowadays. Kumbaya, friendship bracelets, the whole 9 yards. I just think that's funny, because obviously I'm very familiar with the franchise. I've only watched Kuga through present. I've only dipped my toes into Showa, but I'm familiar with the more Lone Rider aspects, and, you know, Kuga was a Lone Rider series, so I'm obviously familiar and get it, but I'm much more used to the series where you have bare minimum 2-3 riders, and it also just made me wish, like, please one day can we get a solo rider series? Like, I know we got a secondary rider around the corner in Zets, but right now we only have one, and it feels more like a singular rider series because of the look and stuff. But I would just love, even if we have to give him the most obnoxious amount of forms, the idea of getting a modern day Rider series with just one would be so cool. Maybe a mini series? I don't know, it would just be neat. Regardless though, I just thought it was interesting the way they focused so much on that. And even like later when he turned in his collection, it seemed like only Ichigo merch. I'm like, do any other Riders exist in this? I don't know. I guess is Tackle from something different? I don't know, that's how I'm not familiar. But regardless, I thought that was interesting, following up on those tropes. So you kind of go through his life a little bit as a kid, being inspired by a Rider, and then as a teenager. And what's funny is, like, part of the premise is he trains himself to be a Rider like Batman, but he can't be a Rider. So this isn't like he's fantasizing in his head about being a Rider or a hero. Like, when he gets in a fight with bullies, he can actually defend himself. And like later the bullies come back to get him after he defended this girl, and after he gets beat up, he like henshins and like actually defeats them all. And by henshins I mean he has a tattoo of a Rider belt on him, and then everyone thinks he's weird. And then you smash cut to he's 40, living alone, 38, lives alone, has 3 cats, and he has the his Rider collection and stuff, and then he sells it. It's funny too because Urzard said like, oh, it's relatable and stuff, kind of like Tokusatsu Gagaga and Red Ranger, which it is. You know, there's lots of things you can relate to, but this is like the depressing side of relatable, where he's like, why are you selling your collection? And he's like, well, when they find me dead alone in my apartment, I don't want all these Rider collection things to be thrown out. And I'm like, that's not even accurate. When I die alone in my apartment, it's going to be more than Rider collectibles they have to throw out. Get your head out of your ass. So as an adult then, he's kind of giving up on all that and just sad, and he's like wanting Shocker to show up. Oh, also, he fights a bear. He thinks that's cool? My boy Archie did that a long time ago. Get on it, man. Anyway, Riverdale did it all. So yeah, he's all trained up and he's like, I just want Shocker to show up so I can become a writer. Then coincidentally, all these people start robbing and saying they're Shocker and wearing masks and doing the ee and all that stuff. And it turns out they're working for like a mafia guy that liked Shocker more when he was a kid. That's why he became a gangster. Although, aren't Shocker like Nazi coded, I think? I mean, their salute certainly is. But anyway, that's kind of the premise of that. And then originally, I thought he was going to be excited, like, yes, this is my moment. But he's like, no, they're not Shocker. Shocker would never do that, like being a purist about it. And then it confronts him when he's eating some takoyaki at a festival, and the guys rob there. And then he buys like a little mask to use, which is the one you see like in the poster or whatever when you load it up. And what I love about it is it's not even a full like cover your face mask. Like it's like child size, so it only covers this part. But then he's like very nervous and crying, but he does save the day. And that kind of sets up, I think, the premise that he's going to be stopping real life crime with this Rider mask. But then the twist at the end, which is why I'm glad I didn't know a lot, is there was some girl that was like, no, he beat me to it, I was gonna make my debut, and she had like a tackle costume. So that's like a new little wrinkle. That's kind of like when they started showing off other Rangers and stuff, and the backstory with the White Ranger and all these other things in Red Ranger Becomes an Adventurer. I'm looking forward to surprises like that. But yeah, this was really enjoyable. It definitely feels similar in spirit to Tokusatsu Gagaga, Red Ranger Becomes an Adventurer, and mostly Akiba Ranger in the sense that it's a fan getting to become a hero, but they're not really getting like the costume and stuff. But if you like that type of stuff, I think you'll like this. It's very different though. I like that it reminds me of those things. It's something you can very much enjoy as a fan, but also it's a different type of story, and I kind of like that, and I'll be curious to see where it goes. I think I'll cover at least one more episode because I'm curious to see where things go with the tackle stuff. But I don't know if this is something I'd cover every week because, you know, I don't know if the interest will be like Red Ranger Becomes an Adventurer had enough interest that I covered it week to week. But at the very least, if I don't cover it week to week when the series wraps or wraps its first season, I'll do a video about it. But yeah, check it out. If you have already, let me know what you think of it in the comments as always. Till next time, Dawson Ryder signing out.